The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic Forum, assemble! You are watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you should stick with us. We'll help you take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our riddle, inside of an enigma, trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey, what's up?
There you are. Next, he is our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He is our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz.
Hey.
Hey.
Right? Hey. Hi.
Indeed. Next, he's the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
I'm having technology issues. So
I'm sorry to hear that, friend.
Don't count on me to play things.
Okay, got it. Why do you look like somebody's grandpa, like looking at the internet for the first time?
I'm embracing my old age. I'm finally acting
right. As for myself, my name is Lawrence Young. They call me Mir Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you today because we are going to be talking to you all about Night Court. Oh my God, Night Court's back, and Fantastic Forum is going to talk to you about it. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. We're also going to be talking to you all about Sins of Sinister, which is the latest X-Men crossover event, the first issue. So we're going to start talking about that as well. And of course, the latest and greatest in comic book news and whatever else it is that you all want to talk about. But before we do all that, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, like, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. So thank you, Scott Rubin. Hope you're doing well, good sir. And yeah, I guess we should go ahead. Well, the intern is unavailable, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
I had to hit the
It's definitely going to be a
30 seconds ago.
Got it. You timed it beautifully, friend. Look, I'm sure that I'm going to get another talking to from HR trying to determine if the intern is available or not. I apologize, intern. You do stellar work. Thank you. So yeah, do what the intern says. Get with Fantastic Forum. You can go to fantasticforum.live, or you can where you can hit the call-in button and become the 5th member of Fantastic Forum, coveted spot, 5th member, or you can hit us up in chat, whether it be Discord or Twitch. We'll take your comments directly out of chat and bring them into the show, such as Jay. Can you insert a witty chat comment here for me, buddy?
Yes.
Just having technical difficulties, dude.
Tiger Claw says, "What's up, Fantastic Forum? It's a big day today. So much to unpack. I hope Oz didn't fate because it was too much to absorb."
Oh, look! Wait a minute. Here's a rare instance of Tiger Claw trying to be subtle. Like, he didn't just come out and say what he was talking about. He was just like, he actually hinting. Like, he didn't even use like an extra corny line or joke. So you're like, okay, well, we're obviously talking about. Look, I am assuming Tiger Claw must be talking about the slate for the new DC universe that's coming, that was announced by James Gunn. What was that? Was that yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay, so it was yesterday. And Oz with the meh? met Oz?
It's not all that new. Like
I
what
mean, it's just Booster Gold. Like, no one cares about him.
like I've been hearing about a Booster Gold thing for years. I'll believe it when I see it.
Dang. Oz is like, yeah, I hear what you're telling me, but
No,
I
I mean they like
before.
they downgraded stuff. You know, I was promised a Green Lantern Corps TV show or movie or something. Well, first I was
Mhm.
promised a movie, and then it was downgraded to a TV show, and now
Mhm.
it's some sort of like murder mystery with like Green Lanterns. How do you take a hero whose power is light and make a noir style show out of that? Like that's always been the joke with Batman. It's like Batman, you're so dark, and you gotta shine the light. You know, and somehow that's gonna affect. Like, look, it could be great, but it feels like a downgrade off the bat.
Okay.
It's gonna be look. You're gonna get fucking the Grant Morrison Green Lantern series adapted.
I think one of the shows was a Grant Morrison thing too.
Yeah, the Superman Legacy or something, right?
Yeah,
Is Superman Legacy an actual Grant Morrison book?
I think it's based on Grant Morrison's
No,
run.
it's based on like All Star Superman
That
or
doesn't
something
help.
like that.
I remember, like recently, they showed that he had on his Instagram. He was reading All Star Superman, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
James
That-
Gunn, I mean.
that-
Yeah.
that's we have that assumption. Sarah Claw in chat says Creature Commandos sound like it's gonna be it could be a fun show. The characters they showed look like classic Universal monsters, and the addition of Weasel. That's one that I mean, it's Agents of Shade is what we got in New 52 in that vein with those characters, and that was really good. But
And
I
he's
mean,
really
they could go
really-
south. Say that again, Oz? Yeah, kind of.
Like Creature Commandos is just his recasting Suicide Squad because he's got
Or
his
Doom
Rick
Patrol.
guy, he's got a Weasel.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't think that there's going to be like another Suicide Squad type thing going on? Like they have a Waller show as well. Like Waller, like Suicide Squad won't be in Waller.
In the background, like it's gonna be
But
her in the command center, like yelling at people.
The thing is that,
Could be like
that could just be like it could just be like the Penny Dreadful, like a horror TV show. You know, like that's just what they're gonna. You know, instead of like doing the Titans and all this Doom Patrol, they'll do that, and it's gonna be animated, so it's easier to do.
And here's where he lost me. He said that this Flash movie is the greatest superhero movie of all time, or that he's ever seen, or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Come on. Like now, okay, they backed up
You don't
a truck
believe
full
him?
of money. No, they backed up a truck full of money. I get it. You know, he's gonna do his best, and
Look-
he's a talented person, so I'm sure he'll do decent. It's just you throw something out like that, you know, it's like calling Liefeld Alex Ross.
Now, did you guys hear how often he used the word marvelous to describe everything?
I
caught
did.
that. I caught that.
Like that,
Yeah,
that was a
I did.
little, I felt like that detective in Glass Onion. Like, I do say, you are an idiot, sir. but yeah, I'm like, yeah, he's using that too much, which means to me that seems like okay, he doesn't really feel these things, and yeah, Creature Commandos. Look, that's all fine. Like, I'm happy to see something like that. I'd rather see it live, but it's going to be an animated thing, and really, it's no reason why I can't get any more Black Adam, but still have to get the same Shazam.
Look,
I mean, but it doesn't. The way they made it, or the way he made it sound, was like he's not green lighting anymore. Shazam. He's just letting the Shazam play
Right.
out, right?
But look, let a little more Black Adam play out. Let a little more Henry Cavill play out. You're letting fucking he didn't make it seem like the Flash he's letting play out. you know, like he's like banking on that, and even Shazam he's like real excited about. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't. I did do a poll. I made people take my
Mm-hmm.
poll on Instagram, and
Whoa.
and they're really divided on it. Let's see, where is? Ah, damn it!
You need me to pull it up?
Fucking no, I have it here. You can't pull it up
Okay.
because it already ended, so it's gone. But let me. I had it here, and this fucking computer's driving me nuts. It's
I
Jay's
understand.
porn computer. Let's see. Here we go. All right.
Oh,
So it
can
should
you
be
make that
shared.
bigger by
There it is.
chance? Yeah, it's shared.
Possibly. So
There you go.
basically,
Perfect.
it's just a graphic of what they're showing: Superman Legacy,
Mm-hmm.
Lanterns, Authority. Larry, that's for you. I gotta ask you about that. Waller,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Paradise Lost, which is like the
Mm-hmm.
Amazonian shit. Raven the Bold, Supergirl,
Mm-hmm.
the
Please
mean
don't use that
Supergirl.
one. Please don't use that Supergirl. Recast.
Like what? What? I'm like, I've never even seen that Supergirl before. Who
She
is
was
that?
supposed to be in the Batgirl movie,
Oh.
and I I heard that she was supposed to be Kara, but I also heard because there's a Supergirl that looks like that. That's like Superman and somebody in Lois Lane's kid in another dimension, something like that.
Mm.
So it
Okay.
was always confusing because I kept being told that was supposed to be Kara, but the costume and the look makes her not Kara.
Okay. Gotcha. Continue, Mo. Sorry.
But either way, this is just a graphic. I mean, it's not a design spec or anything. It's just what they're using. And
This whole thing shows me that he really doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Like,
well,
he knows a couple of things, but like
well,
back
look,
up a little bit.
uh,
So Brave and Bold, that's going to be a Batman and Robin movie. Traditionally,
yeah,
Brave and the Bold is a team up of some sort, preferably
right.
with diametrically opposed characters. But yeah, it's always been a
Yeah.
team up. It's like saying at World's Finest, but it's going to be Nightwing and Batgirl. You know, it's just it, and also it
It's
bugged me a little bit that he's going straight to Damien.
why?
Yeah,
Because I want my dick.
Whoa. Whoa.
but the thing,
Now, unless Homeboy from Titans shows up as Dick Grayson, then you know what? All
How,
right, because they already did. You know, they already got
but
all the other ones.
that's
go
the
ahead,
thing
Mo.
about these movies. That's the thing about these movies, and especially DC. DC is desperate right now. They have done all of the same shit over and over again, especially when it relates to Batman and and Superman. Like now, this is like when you do a Batman, like this might be the bet you got to take at this point, and then work backward. You know, in fact, that's kind of like the mentality they had last time with Snyder, and then and we got the Batman that was supposed to be young Batfleck movie, but you start at the old weathered one that fights Superman, and then go backwards, and that's I think what they would try to do here. Like I would even like I would just go with Dark Crisis and avoid the main Justice League altogether, and just make these
Dark
good movies for
Crisis.
yeah.
You know,
But yeah,
you know
that's
how
just
mad
me.
people would be if that's what you did? Dark Crisis? Oh my god.
I don't think people would be that mad because I think at this point more people would be banking on the cinema and mass media shit than actually read Dark Crisis. Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's that one series that's tight." Yeah, but yeah, our
Now,
followers, you guys, you listeners, you followers on Instagram, like we're split down the middle out of like
mhm.
34 votes. It's like
3,400.
50. Yeah. That's what I meant. I just don't bother. I don't bother saying zeros. So it's
But
50-50, man. It helps nothing. Like, go ahead, Larry.
I was gonna say that I feel like that's more an indictment though of like where DC from a mass media perspective or Warner Brothers from a mass media perspective has gotten to more so than James Gunn. Like, you know, and I don't get me wrong, like I think like James Gunn is why you have, I think, some people optimistic. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying he has all the answers because I don't believe that myself, and I do believe he's gonna make some choices that all of us are gonna dislike. However, like in my opinion, generally speaking, in the last however many years, DC movies, like DC superhero flicks, have been so bad that I'm just happy that there's somebody that's going to come in with some sort of vision at all and give it a shot. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'd rather watch something cohesive that might have some hits and some misses than watch what I've been watching up until now. Yeah, the end. Rant over. Sorry, I don't know. I should have said. No, like I feel like everybody was like waiting for somebody else to speak, but I guess we do have a caller.
We're waiting for Mo to catch up.
Like,
No,
let me.
I can hear. I
Let me
can't.
bring in our.
That's the hard part.
It's all right, Mo. If you talk over us, we'll stop. We know that you're on a little bit of a delay. Oh. Let me do this. Bam.
Yeah,
Call. There he is with. It's the brave and the bold. No. Look, caller. You are the 5th member of Fantastic Forum. Tell the people who you are, where you're calling from, and what you want to talk about.
I'm Hecht. I'm calling from over here. I want to talk about this stupid ass DC movie plan.
Damn, stupid ass DC movie plan. We know what side of the 50% Hecht would have fallen on. Hecht, talk to us. What don't you like about it?
I'm kind of with Oz on the whole Brave and the Bold thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand. I don't like starting with Damien because there's like a couple ways you can go from there. Mm-hmm. And it either becomes like 50% flashback movie, or you leave it going from that point. Then you got to work backwards on the next movie, assuming it gets greenlit. But
now, Lawrence, make sure you pour directly onto the microphone.
Wait, the microphones are here. I'm sorry.
That's why you
I apologize. They're right. I'm like out here.
That's right. I was listening to Larry on the podcast, like the audio version last week, and I'm like, why is Larry? I gotta check his microphone settings. He sounds so weird. Like live, it sounds clear and everything to us, but on the actual recording, like, why does Larry sound like that? And now I know it's those damn fucking Bluetooth. I hate that fucking invention of Bluetooth. And Larry, I keep telling Larry, don't use that shit.
I mean, what's the difference between all 4 of us?
What do you mean?
He's on Bluetooth.
Oh,
we're all corded.
Yeah, we're all corded and with a mic. Yeah. Maybe that's what's causing the delay.
Yeah, it's my Bluetooth that's causing the delay for you, Mo. Yeah, that's it. That makes a lot of sense.
We all know Bluetooth is like magic. Nobody knows how that works.
Exactly.
Wait,
so
let me see. One cool question, Larry. Did you use Bluetooth before you went to Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, then that kind of explains.
Are you gonna blame me?
No. Because I know he used Bluetooth when he was broadcasting from Illinois, and then everything started being weird from there to now for me. So if he used it before, that's not it.
I've been using these for a minute now, honestly. Like, if the quality has changed somehow, then, you know, but it could be like, you know what? I might have had an issue with my thing, with my speaker. And so I might I'll make sure I mic up next week. So, but anyway, let me say this to you all real quick, because this is like your take on Batman Brave and the Bold, which is not so much about, well, I understand you have beef with Oz. You were talking about the title specifically, and that I get. But this idea of starting with Damian, right? Potentially, and don't get me wrong, while I can definitely understand the trepidation about starting with Damian, especially considering that, you know, I feel like Damian really kind of came to prominence as Robin with Dick Grayson as Batman, which is like, you know, that was like the whole thing where it's like you literally got like a dark, brooding Robin and a light-hearted Batman, and that way it was kind of like a, you know, a role reversal kind of thing going on. And then, of course, Damian ended up being Robin with Bruce Wayne, and so you have both of them are kind of dark and brooding in their own different ways, right? But it's one of these things where potentially, like, we've done some Robins already. Don't you all feel like there's a potential, like, in this movie for there to be Bruce Wayne Batman, Damian Wayne as his son, and that is a different dynamic that we've never seen on screen before as far as live action goes? And also the potential for like a Nightwing cameo. Like, you can get a live action like movie Nightwing that, and so you still get your Dick Grayson, but you know, like realistically, we're talking about going backwards as far as like movies go, because you have to like fill in the gaps, but potentially you can just move forward and, you know, allude to some of that stuff, or even maybe do some of that stuff in animation form or whatever. And then just like in the next Batman movie might be a Nightwing movie for all we know. What do y'all think of that? As a possibility, I'm saying.
I think it's going to be tough because nobody knows who the hell Damian is at all. Like I've had that conversation with people before where they talk about how. Go ahead.
Wait, he's buffering.
Go ahead, Mo.
I agree with you, Larry. Yeah, I agree with you, Larry. Like, I think that's, if anything, this is the risk. If you're going to take a risk, this is the risk you take right now, because it'll give you the potential to do something good, something new with Batman, and you know,
Right.
fuck if people don't know who he is, like that's what you're going for the movie for, to see something a little different than what you've seen in Batman already.
But
yeah,
right, and that's the thing where it's like, listen, I get it that people, your general public, isn't as well versed on Damian Wayne's Robin as they are many other Robins. But dude, like, think about like if Marvel can introduce the world to Iron Man, who was like literally like unknown up until like from a mass media perspective, literally unknown, and he become like a media darling. Surely DC can sell friggin' the audience on like a dark brooding Robin, right? Like, you don't think that like
Baby Groot,
Groot. No, listen, Iron Man, when that movie came out,
I made a song about him.
Say what?
Black Sabbath has a song about him.
Oh, listen,
Everybody knows Iron Man.
And now listen, I remember when Iron Man
name Iron Man, even if they don't know the character, they know the name.
Yeah, but no, but you so you feel like more people, like, think about it from a comic book perspective. More people know who Iron Man was than Robin?
Robin, Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne is different. Robin, and everybody knows that there's more than one Robin.
No. Let me throw it to you like this. When they did Death in the Family, I was like 4 or 5. My dad showed me in the news, and I couldn't read shit. So he was telling me in the newspaper that they said, "Oh, Robin's gonna die." I was like, "What the shit?" You know, I'm a little kid. I don't know shit. So he takes me to the comic shop. We don't even go to the comic shop. We go to a corner store downtown,
Yeah, like
from
a
magazines
like a
and whatever.
spinner rack. Yeah, absolute.
And I got the 3rd issue of it where he's
Mhm.
dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I still can't read, so I have the picture. Oh, he's dead. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Big shit for me at 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad didn't know either. He didn't know that was Jason Todd. He knew it was Robin.
Mhm.
He thought it was
Right.
Dick Grayson.
Right.
So
But that's the whole point, though. It doesn't matter.
so you're saying it's
Robin was dead.
There had only been 2 Robins. At that point, there had only been 2 Robins.
right. But my point is, he didn't even know there was 2 Robins.
Also,
Yeah.
Robin being dark and broody is gonna put a lot of people off. I think they're gonna expect the happy. Like every time I hear people talking about this movie, they talk about how it's gonna be Batman and Robin, and he's always these movies need Robin because he brings the light to Batman. And in fact, somebody was talking about it before I even knew like the full announcement. And then I see he's like, Damien, this motherfucker telling me about how happy this Robin's gonna be, and now I see the name Damien.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man.
Yeah.
I'm
All I'm saying,
Like, fuck those
go ahead,
people.
Mo.
Like, realistically, like, we're gonna fuck those people. Like, everybody has expectations. They have a preconceived notions based on their stupid, limited knowledge. Like, we know, like, potentially, if they do this right, it could be good, and it can be a good way to freshen up this Batman shit, And the Batman did a good job with it, just from being a good movie, yeah. And they were like, "Oh, okay," but really, like, I didn't want that fucking Riddler like that. Like I have to praise that movie under protest because that's not Riddler.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. Like they could have done all that same thing and just had a different Riddler that was more closer to the
They could have had Hush. They could have had like a Hush analog that's like a kid that grew up alongside him. Like it's yeah. That movie, I definitely like as much as I enjoy that movie and as good as it was, it's really just a ripoff of fucking of the Telltale game, and they use Cobblepot in that. No, but it is.
Yeah, I saw similar shit when I was watching it.
Yeah, like it's like literally like when Catwoman's like, "I'll stay if you tell me to stay." Like that's the ending of the game, and it's the ending of the movie, and it even pauses for you to hit triangle. Yeah,
the movie just pauses for you to triangle.
it takes it like I counted the seconds because I played the game, so I played it again. I counted the
taking controllers to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know Netflix did that shit. Like I'm pretty sure, like if Netflix had the rights to Batman, they'd probably do that. Where kind of like that movie. Was it what's that shit? Black Mirror movie where he can
right? Yeah, that was cool.
So,
yeah, man,
is Battinson the one for Brave and the Bold though?
No,
he's at Elseworld.
So it's not even the same Batman.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
So where the fuck are we starting with this one?
After Flashpoint,
yeah,
everything it's a whole universe reset, and then you'll start getting the DCU
rebirth.
Yeah, like the mass media DCU, and that's going to be
the Battinson stuff is in Elseworlds, like Joker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that and Joker.
I think
and Stargirl,
maybe.
No, that's a different universe. That's CW universe, Arrowverse or whatever.
And that
wait, is Stargirl in the Arrowverse?
Technically, yeah.
When they did their Crisis on Infinite Earths, they she was part of it. But they had everything.
Wait,
they had 66 Batman. They had everything.
Yeah. They had 89.
No, when you say she was a part of it, you mean like they showed like a clip from her show as like a universe.
So when the CW, when Flash had their Flashpoint, the shows kind of got condensed into that universe, right? because Superman came over and he became canon to that universe.
Which Superman?
The CW Superman.
The swarthy, unshaven one.
Yes.
Oh, right. But that fool's in his own universe now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not like.
But I thought it got condensed into the Arrowverse. I thought they're in the same universe.
No, really, just Supergirl is the only one that actually ended up there.
Okay.
Right. Because that's what she deserves.
In fact, I don't think you ever saw Superman after. He might have showed up, but it's not the Superman and Lois Superman. Like, they even have their own Diggle.
They have their own Diggle?
Yeah,
Diggle
that sounds
nasty.
Diggle.
I know it's not nasty, but it sounds nasty.
Diggle showed up as Diggle.
You know how Oz does, man. He needs his own dick. He needs his own Diggle. He needs all that. It's like, dude.
And he needs an origin for all of those.
Diggle's supposed to be Jon Stewart, too. I want my shiny Diggle.
Whoa. Shiny logo.
Diggle.
And I hate that they put him in a green outfit, too.
How about a plumber?
Green light on his face. I try to put a ring on it.
Oh my god.
On your Diggle?
So, Mo, what's your thoughts on Swamp Thing?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I did to fucking James Gunn so that he would like want to fuck that up. But yeah.
but James Gunn up until this point has only done good stuff for the DC universe, right?
Has he?
I mean, he does good stuff. Period. Even if you like, I don't count Guardians as good stuff, but it's good for like people like it. You know?
Yeah, people like it. Sure.
Technically, there's good stuff for the masses, and he did good stuff for me. You know, in Peacemaker and in Suicide Squad, the second one, and you know, I like Slither. You know, so that's a horror movie that he did, and I like Super. That's a movie he did. I enjoyed that.
So what is it that you feel like? Why do you feel he's gonna mess up Swamp Thing?
I think because when you think of it as a horror movie, people expect it to be. They don't know how to do it as a horror movie. Like you're either doing it as a Jekyll and Hyde story, or you're doing it as a like creature feature, you know, and it's more like a man versus nature thing with Swamp Thing. Like if you want to make a horror movie, like you don't even personify it. Like it's the swamp attacking you and you don't know what it is, you know. And
you don't feel like they can make a horror movie by adapting like the new 52 version of Swamp Thing?
You better not.
They definitely can't, because that's not a horror comic. That's a superhero comic.
Yeah, you gotta go back to the Alan.
Yeah, and even that is not. That's more gothic. That's more like you know, Larry. You've been watching Interview with a Vampire. That's like that in terms of horror, and that's not a horror show necessarily. It's a gothic show and it has horror as the bedrock, but it builds into something more beyond horror, and it's a story about people. It's just people that suck dick and suck blood. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. See, I guess in my mind, it's like, and I agree with you that the New 52 comic is definitely like a superhero-fication of Swamp Thing, which is something that is not like what like fans of the character, like when he's at his best, that's not what Swamp Thing is. So I can definitely.
I'd rather see that than see like the Constantine superheroification, which we got that after. Yeah.
But I guess like in my mind, it's like if you're telling a story about like say adapting somewhat what's happened in the new 52 version of Swamp Thing and talking about initially like the green versus the red, and then eventually, or not eventually, but bringing in the Rock as like the actual.
I don't ever want to see that ever outside of comics ever.
But you don't feel like that could be like a horror themed movie?
I
The
think
Rock?
like if you want to see it good, it can, but if you want to see it good, you read the comics. You're already getting the gray with fucking with Last of Us, you know. So that's your Rock movie right there. That's your gray
Mm-hmm.
Avatar. There's no avatars in it, but but that's it.
Yeah.
That's as far as you're gonna get that. The moment you start adding avatars, it becomes a superhero movie and loses the horror shit.
I don't
In
understand what
movies,
you guys.
I don't think you can do it. Like the closest thing to a superhero movie that you can get is these fucking these James Wan movies. The like that shit called the Annabelles, or the ones that actually have the characters that own all the artifacts. Like they're your superheroes. Like I know a bunch of Christian people that won't watch those movies because like, oh, they open door for possession and all this bullshit. I'm like, kidding me? That's like the Avengers for horror. Like you got these Christian superheroes that bind these demons with the power of Christ and shit. So that's your Christian superhero team right there.
Hold on, real
Like,
quick.
I don't
and
even
then
know.
Because
Listen.
Hector's a little lost, and if Hector's lost, then some other people might be lost. So
Yeah.
Swamp Thing and the Green,
Uh-huh.
Swamp Thing became the personification of Earth energy, kind of like Gaia, life. The green.
No, I know about that stuff.
The Rot is the red.
Oh,
it's
the
the opposite.
The Rot.
No.
No.
The red is animal life. It's human and
Right.
animal.
No, I heard the Rock.
Black.
I heard Rock. That's what.
Oh no, not Rock.
No.
And I was like,
R-O-T.
why are you talking about the Rock? He's Black Adam. He doesn't go with.
No, the Rot. The Rot.
Rot.
R-O-T. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on board. I'm back in it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yay.
In the New 52, the rot was they're always fighting for balance. When animal or plant dies, they rot. The rot takes what it takes to bring a new, fertilize the earth and bring out more grass so that the lion can eat and the animal, balance, a three-way balance. And that starts the rot starts wanting more than because the avatar is a bad person. Yeah. And so then the green and the red have to team up, even though they're still enemies because at one point they have to keep each other in check. So and that movie itself, like that's more like philosophical like stuff with conflict than anything. Like that's not a horror movie. Like that I could see like a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy type of drama more with the Rot red and green then I can do a horror movie, even with having read the comic.
So Animal Man, the avatar of the red, is that why?
Well, no, his daughter is.
Okay.
Wasn't Animal Man? Wasn't initially it was him, right?
They used him to make sure that she's born.
Oh, okay.
I remember like his daughter playing with dead animals or something.
Yeah, because she could actually bring them back, like the genetic material, like she could manipulate it. That's why she was so dangerous.
New 52 was on something.
It's a good series, though.
That initial run, the Animal Man and Swamp Thing together, and was so good.
It was amazing.
And like I said, if you want to do those first 2-3 arcs, like if you want to see those like done well, see them there. You're not gonna see it in the fucking movie. Yeah.
And there it is.
And yet Shazam's the one that got adapted.
But yeah, if you want to see Christian superheroes, watch like The Conjuring.
Now, and it's crazy because I feel like James Gunn made an allusion to the idea that Shazam, like the New 52 Shazam, is what the movies are based on. And I'm like,
I felt like he was suggesting that they would bring Shazam in, and even that I felt like subtextually, we'll see how the movie does.
I'm like those movies are terrible. I mean, obviously the second one hasn't come out yet, so I don't know how bad it is, but it's not going to be better than the first one.
I think the
first one wasn't good.
The first one was fine.
The first one
It is.
The first one was
It is
for DC. like a kid introduction. It was good for kids. It's a kid movie. Because it's so nonsensical and stupid that kids will like it.
Unfortunately, the weakest part of that first movie was Levi, whatever.
Yeah,
100%.
We talked about this when it came out. It's like Billy Batson actor was actually playing the role perfectly, and Levi, like somebody, or Levy, how do you say? Is it
acted like a cartoon?
Yeah, he was like, oh, it's a comic book movie. I gotta be crazy.
He's less mature than the kid that's playing the kid.
If that Shazam was made in like the late 90s, Jim Carrey would have been Shazam.
Here's my idea for the Shazam.
Like, I think Jim Carrey would have been a better Shazam.
That kid is at an age now where he can start hitting the gym, and Shazam 3 don't even need Levi at all. Right? We just
you can't play the kid and Shazam.
Why not?
Why not? That's what happened before New 52 and everything. He wasn't Batman.
And if you adapt the Kingdom Come, you can get the same actor to do both.
Yeah, put the little worm in his ear.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
A Kingdom Come movie, I'd be down for.
Nah, I'm good. Leave that alone.
Look, I feel like that joint's gonna come.
Kingdom Come?
Yeah, it's gonna Kingdom Come.
It will make money if they bring back Cavill for that.
Why do we need Cavill?
That's
true. Old Superman, because he was Superman before. All the other Supermen are dead.
What are you gonna do? Bring in Brandon Routh?
Well, I was about to say Brandon Routh is out here somewhere. Like, you son of a bitch.
He already played Kingdom Come Superman, and he was terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Still not good.
What?
Yeah,
Wait,
like you would have had like at this point, the Smallville dude could play Kingdom Come Superman. Like you seen him?
Actually,
he's all white haired and white beard.
Yeah, bring him back. He's got the look. Tom Welling.
He looks old as Tom Welling.
Tom Welling. Definitely do it. Yeah.
And he's still he's even buffer now. He's even buffer now, but his hair is all white and he's got a big old beard. Mm-hmm. Like I was watching this podcast the other day, and I'm like, man, that dude could be Kingdom Come. Like he could be Kingdom Come Thor. He could be Kingdom Come Superman. He could be Megod. He could have him do everything. Like
old man, everyone.
Yeah. He could be Maestro. Motion. He looks like Maestro. Yeah, he looks like Maestro.
That's too funny, man.
You've
all this other
you've convinced me. Fuck Cavill, bring me the Wellington.
Bring the Wellington.
No, I am a
piece of beef.
I am a Cavill fan. I am a Cavill fan though. Like, and that's one of my things. Like, I hung out with Derek H earlier today, and we were talking about this. And
Shout out to Derek
none
H.
of these projects that I saw in that picture are worth losing. Like, not hiring Cavill. You know.
I mean, but here's the thing. Like, I like Henry Cavill, and I thought that he was a good Superman in a bad Superman movie. Like, you know, there's no part of me that feels like he can't be Superman. But the dude is tainted by the project that he's been a part of. So it's like, in my mind, it's like, why? It's like trying to make a new X-Men movie, like a new, like if Marvel made X-Men, but they brought back Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine. It's like people are gonna be like, nah, you can't do like it can't be new, like, and is this Wolverine still?
But the thing is I take it like comics. You have a bad run, okay, next run you start over. Like, I like Spider-Man. I read Dark Web. I'm gonna still keep reading Spider-Man after, you know, and I'll take, you know.
Look, they're talking about Spider-Man 4.
Yeah,
listen,
but that's the thing.
Nobody's saying that you're not going to stop reading it, but you get a new artist. A new actor is like getting a new artist.
Yeah. No. That's a new artist or a new writer. It's like a dude. No, a new actor is just like it's just bad art.
A new director is a new writer. A new actor is a new artist.
Wait, if the new director is a new writer, then what's the new writer?
That's the new writer is the inker. They're important, but they don't get the credit they deserve.
I'm a level with you, Larry. I'm a level with you. I want him to redeem himself and be in something good as Superman. But
no, I'm with you. I would like that too.
But what I am proposing to the people that I know at Disney is they should make a Squadron Supreme movie and hire all these fired DCE. I did that. Like I did that. Like tell the to hire do that as like kind of how you did for the Doctor Strange. Like just show something wherever, because in Quantumania you could probably allude to another reality or whatever. You should show just the image of like the Squadron Supreme and just hire these dudes.
Dude,
that Snyder Justice.
Let me tell you right now, Moses. If I saw Henry Cavill with blonde hair playing a friggin' Hyperion, I would lose my mind. I'd be like, oh my God. I was like, dude, I'm like, Marvel has shut the whole thing down. Like, that's amazing. That would be it would be such an amazing move.
If they did that, they'd literally butt fuck DC Universe. Like, we're doing everything like we can and better.
It would be amazing, and it would be like he would be so good at that in that role. But he needs to be blonde though. He needs like that brown hair. He needs to do that. Like he needs to do the brown hair thing. Like,
that's fine. I mean,
like
his black hair isn't even really his black hair. Like what he uses in Superman, they dye it dark. Like his hair is more brown.
Oh, did they really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen him with white hair, so we can see him with blonde. We can see him, I know they do like
he can pull it off. Like
Squadron Sinister does like the red hair a little bit, the reddish hair.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that too.
Yeah,
like,
I think he has really, blonde hair in
Rome, right? The show Rome.
Maybe
But you know what? I'm wrong though. Like Hyperion has like brown hair. I apologize. Like I was out here more so like I guess I'm like channeling Sentry, which he would be great as Sentry too. he would be great as Sentry too.
I think he's been
and that would be a role that would have a lot of meat for him.
Yeah.
What are you say, Oz?
I think he's been fan casted as Sentry before. Like before they thought he was gonna come back as Superman.
Mm-hmm. No, he would be amazing. There. Oh man, that's a terrible picture, but yes. I was like, what's wrong with his back? Who did that to Hyperion?
Is that Rob Liefeld?
like I'm like, look at his arm. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I hope that's not an artist I like. Oh jeez,
it's
that's not a good picture though. Like I whoever brought that picture in, I appreciate you being Johnny on the spot with the reference, but damn, that's like the worst picture of Hyperion I've ever seen. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that they're worse out there, but Hyperion don't get a lot of shine. So I'm just like, man, like I've only read the comics that had like halfway decent art. And so I'm just like, Jesus, man, why does he look? This is the cover? Who put that on the cover? Damn, some editor should be fired. They're like, that'll do. Somebody was like, it's just Hyperion. That'll do. Like you sons of bitches.
I think I might have to ask. I think I might have to ask Dave Ryan to draw me a white cover where it's like a Superman white cover, but it's Henry Cavill as Hyperion.
That would be awesome. Now that's a much better cover, even though I feel like the proportions are a little different there. But that's not the same artist, is it?
Yeah, I don't think so. It's a different.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's an alternate cover for.
It's alternate cover, right? Okay.
Variant
that's a better picture. Yeah.
That's the flannel he wore in the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No. Right. Hyperion. Look, you have to understand when you're a Superman level being trying to blend in like you're normal. The flannel is mandatory. Okay, you can't be every man without a flannel.
Yeah.
Like if this fool's just in like a regular button up, they'd be like Superman.
Now at the same time, he's still wearing that giant ass cape underneath it.
Well, no, there's a transition happening. There's a transition.
Buckle.
And the wrestling belt.
Yeah, that world title, Biohazard world title right there.
Yeah.
Hey! I don't need you all commenting on Hyperion's character design. Okay, it's fantastic. Let it be, man. Look, if Superman was actually Superman, that's the kind of belt he would wear because he's like, you know what? I'm the champ. I'm the champ.
That's the kind of belt he would wear if it was John Cena being Superman.
There it is.
Really?
Tiger Claw asks, what if they made Hyperion black in the MCU?
Is that what he meant?
That's what he meant.
Oh.
Yeah.
He corrected it in the next.
I'm out.
He can't be black because, like, when you have a being that powerful and they happen to be black, bad things happen. And here's no, I mean realistically, like Marvel's already tackled this, right? Like, look, y'all don't know who Blue Marvel is? Like, Blue Marvel is that guy. And Blue Marvel, because he was a character, like he was a super powered
That was Val Zod. My bad.
Look, we're talking about real comics now, not DC stuff. I'm sorry.
Dang.
No. Dang.
Blue Marvel or Val Zod?
I mean, look, Val Zod, but is it going to be good?
So who's real now?
Is it going to be good?
Pixar didn't happen.
Look, but yeah, like Blue Marvel had to cover his face up. This fool did the full, like before there was Watchmen. Blue Marvel was out here 100% being hooded justice. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, I'm too strong for people to see my face.
So was Black Noir.
Say what?
So was Black Noir. He had to cover his face.
No.
TV show Black Noir,
Noir,
not real Black Noir.
Yeah, but he could. But
like
wow,
they're gonna have real Black Noir in TV show.
Yeah, but Black Noir comes way later. So, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know real quick, what did you do to James Gunn that he didn't give you a movie or a TV show?
I didn't think I did anything to him.
I'm just saying, like, Mo got Swamp Thing and potentially Creature Commandos. Oz got friggin' Green Lantern and Booster Gold.
No. He took away Green Lanterns. But threw in a Booster Gold.
You got Green Lantern. Look,
no,
you got
Green Lantern. Look, no. Mm-mm.
Listen, Oz, nobody's surprised that you're ungrateful. No one's surprised by this. look, and then, you know, I guess I got the authority, which, you know, okay, I'll take it. You know, like, but how come? Like, I'm like, damn, Jay didn't get like not a Titans. Not like a Birds of Prey, not even a bat. I was like, dang, like I'm so used to you getting what you want randomly for no good reason that I was just like, this has to be personal. Why did James like? Look, I know Jay, like, because I hang out with you. I know that you offend a lot of people in the comic book community perpetually. So I just need to know what you did to James Gunn specifically that he was like FJ.
I haven't even done anything recently. Like, the only thing I went after Cameron because he was saying stupid shit. But,
James Cameron?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, well, that might be it.
I was clowning him on Twitter.
I think Creature
I did a bad job at
it,
but
Jay's show.
But yeah.
Well, Jay might end up liking Creature Commandos. Like, honestly, Jay, like the sad fact of the matter is the whole DCU, the whole DCU slate Jay is probably going to be the happiest of all of us because Jay only
Call brings up a good point in chat. They're not touching Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
they already got Jay's thing, so they're like, all right, just leave it alone. Just leave it there.
I do not like Teen Titans Go, the cartoon.
Nah, but are you sure though?
I feel like you like it,
right? No, but do you though, or don't you though?
No, I don't support that.
That's more for me, but I haven't seen it in like over 2 years.
No, look, it's for you, Hecht, but it's also for Jay. Like Jay doesn't want to admit it.
No, they have a good episode every now and then, but I don't like Teen Titans Go.
What? Okay, all I know is I was at Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Right.
Why was I there?
Great.
The movie was.
Why was I there?
Because I told you, let's go see Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Because there's a Stan Lee cameo. That's why you were there.
No, well, okay, but that's not what I went for. I went because somebody on Fantastic Forum was like, let's go see Teen Titans Go to the movies, and I was like, fought it some, and then I was like, they're like, and I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I'm pretty sure that was Jay. Wasn't that Jay? That wasn't who
Yeah.
Was that you, Mo?
Nah, it ain't me.
So it must have been me and Oz in Illinois then.
I don't think I've ever seen a full
and that's why I've been on a delay since, because that you messed that up there.
Right. Look, Teen Titans Go to the movies does have a virus in it. I don't want to say anything beforehand, but it's true. So, Jay, that was you.
Good episode. Yeah, they have some good episodes now and then, but I don't really like the show.
We went to a whole movie.
Yeah, because the movie was good.
The movie is completely different than the show, like pacing and everything.
Hector's like, no, you have to understand. But so you're saying the movie is better or worse?
It's better.
Okay.
I'm not knocking the TV show. I'm not knocking the cartoon.
No.
I'm saying it's different.
No one felt that you were.
Yeah. But it's different.
Like, yeah, no, it's definitely different, and it should be. Like, if you know what you're doing when you make a movie, you make it different than the 30-minute animated TV show or the 20-minute. I don't even know how many 22-minute. Like, like 15. Okay, right. Listen, if you made an entire movie the same way you made a 15-minute animated TV show, listen, I don't even know. I didn't even realize I could be more angry at an experience. I would have been like, wow, like, why is this just 15-minute vignettes for 90 minutes? I mean, like, who did this? God damn.
3 episodes of Clone Wars.
Oh, how dare you? See?
Because I remember sitting in that theater angry as fuck. Like, what the hell am I doing?
But you're angry at everything, Oz. You feel like you're being personally attacked, despite the fact you're getting like half of these DC shows are things that are for you.
Nah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, all right. Mark my words. I'm like,
I've been hurt too many times by DC. I'm not just coming back till I see a change.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'm out here like, I don't even understand how the Authority can function in a standardized DC universe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've been trying to do it in the comics, and it's been failing perpetually. And then they were like, okay, we get it. It doesn't work inside the DCU, so let's just, like, make it outside the DC universe. And they did.
Like, Wildstorm, right?
Right, exactly. They were like, we're going to let Warren Ellis do his own thing outside of the DC universe, because they tried it for a long time. Like in New 52, they tried to incorporate all these characters, and I don't think it worked, but what do I know? And then but here's the thing, they did the Wildstorm thing and thought they wised up, but then Warren Ellis got canceled, and so no more of that. And then they tried to like reincorporate them back into the DCU again, and it's just like, man, like these cats, they keep trying to fit these square pegs into round holes, man.
Well, I mean, speaking of pegs, it's yeah, like you get Midnighter and Apollo and
Wait a minute.
it's a superhero show for the 2020s. You know,
The 2020s.
the 2020s.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing.
That show is it a show or a movie? I forget. It doesn't matter. It's gonna get.
I'm pretty sure it's a movie.
The problem with that is it's gonna be like there's gonna be so many people talking about DC's going woke, and it's like these characters have been around for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They should put a rainbow in the logo.
But see, that's the thing. Like, why would you put the rainbow in the logo when it's like the team is like 7 people, right? 2 of them are a gay couple.
Like, 7 people, 7 colors. There you go.
But I'm just like, why are we like acting like the majority, like everybody on the team, all the authority, gay.
Everybody's gay now.
Like, every LGBTQIA, every member of the authority is one of those.
I'm gonna put a rainbow in your Fantastic Forum logo. That's what's gonna
happen. Right. And I'm just like, but that's the whole thing. Like, that's what people like, or not what people, but there are some people that like that they feel is the defining characteristic of the group. When it's like that would like the idea of that is so kind of is so crazy to me. Where it's like, dude, like really,
some of the best stories like Midnighter. It's not like Midnighter and Apollo are like fucking every issue. Like you just know that they're in a relationship.
So
but the story doesn't revolve around their relationship. That's just
it does not.
They're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You okay, Oz? You okay?
No.
You having a stroke?
A little bit. I need my medicine.
There it is. Take it, Oz. Like I'm with you, buddy.
Too much woke. It's getting to Oz.
And I'm actually looking forward to an Authority movie. Like Authority can be cool.
No, listen. Authority as a movie or TV show would be awesome on its own.
It depends on who does it. I've read some bad Authority. I've read some good Authority.
No, of course. But what I'm saying to you is
Midnighter and Apollo might not even be part of the team.
Oh,
did they actually announce the team?
They haven't technically. They didn't announce a team. You're right. They didn't announce a team. What I will say is this though, is an Authority inside of the DC universe. I have no faith in that. I have zero faith in that. And so I'm just like, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make an Authority inside the DC universe. And that's the issue that I have with it personally. Cause I'm just like, I don't understand how an Authority exists in a universe where you have a Superman, a Batman. And that's the thing where in my mind, it's literally one of the best Superman stories that was ever written and also got adapted into the animated series that we also, or the animated movie that we watched, was like Superman versus the Elite, which is, I think, Action Comics like 995 or something like that, or 996. I don't remember what the exact issue number was, but it's literally Superman fighting an Authority like analog team. And that's like when they made a comic that was Superman and the Authority. That wasn't that long ago. And Superman and the Authority had members of the Wildstorm, like some of the Wildstorm characters were a part of that group, and some of the people were members of the Elite, which was the analog group that was the Authority. And
Real
so
quick,
it's just like
that was Action Comics 775.
That's what I was gonna
thank
say.
you.
But
Oh, well, there you go. I forgot which number it was, but one of those high numbers, right? There it is. Even though technically you can't call 775 was what? Friggin' however many years ago now, because we're like at right. So crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that story is an amazing story, and it shows like why, like, because people like the Authority was thought of as a team that was like the antithesis to like some of the characters that existed in the DC universe. And it's like, you had like people like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman that had all this power, but when it came down to actually making real changes, they never actually did that. And so you had the Authority that was like this group of people that were like, oh no, we got this power. We're going to force people to be better. And that's what the Authority did in the Wildstorm universe. Now you put them in the DC universe, it's like, in the same way how you had like in the Dark Knight, you had Superman kind of acting like a company man and like reining Batman in. Because Batman's like, hey, I'm trying to make real change. And Superman's like, well, hey, the status quo, you got to work within the lines. And Batman's like, F that. And Superman is like, nah. And that's the thing. How do you mess around and be the Authority in a world where Superman could come to you and be like, nah. So, and that's the thing, like, the Authority technically can give Superman a run as a group, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm definitely feeling like it's gonna be weird and it's like something's gonna get messed up, whether it's like the DC people or the Wildstorm people. But somebody's not gonna be the way they're supposed to be. So the end. I'm sorry.
Or everybody's gonna get messed up.
Right, and that's a possibility too, which seems to be the Oz and the Moses perspective. Jay's like, oh, I like all those people. Jay's like, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Let's do the TV music.
Let's do the what music?
The TV music.
Let's do it. Uh-oh. Who's going to do that? You or somebody else?
Also.
No, more about gel coat.
When the fourth round...
Don't you call it...
Does it look good already?
Jumbo Scampi for limited.
I'm not going to lie. I still love that intro. Thank you, Moses.
You're welcome, I guess.
All right. So listen, Hecht.
Yeah.
We're about to talk about Night Court. Do you know anything about the original Night Court or the new Night Court?
Dude, I was born in the 80s. Yes.
Bam! So Hecht, you should hang out then as we talk Night Court.
I will, but I'll be right back. Don't worry about me. I'll just jump in with some bullshit in a while.
That's like, don't worry if I'm quiet. I'll chime in with the BS. I love it.
That's all I can do for you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, friend. Gentlemen, Night Court.
I'll take your shit.
There it is.
No, I wasn't gonna say.
So Night Court.
I gotta go pee too.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Like, go ahead, Oz. Don't worry. I got you. We got you. Bam. Damn it. See, look, I got it. Okay. I'll take these off. And then when Oz comes back, I'll bring them both back. Night Court. The friggin' reboot. Or I guess not a reboot. It's a return. Yeah, like a sequel series. Which Night Court originally was the like early 90s, right? Am I wrong in that?
It's like the late 80s.
Is it the late 80s?
I think so.
Okay.
It's definitely not 90s.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, I will take late 80s and run with it. But, you know, I wasn't certain. It doesn't feel like it's in like the same, like when I think of 80s shows, like Facts of Life was in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like
Night
Court was in
1984 to 1992.
Damn. Night Court was on that long?
That's crazy.
84 to 92. Damn. Okay. So yeah, like Night Court went through a transition. Because Lord knows that 84 and 92 aren't the same eras, even though I always say, you all know.
Look, you had the Berlin Wall and AIDS in between those two things. Like you can't do the same show from 1984 to 1992. Yeah.
No, I agree with you, but here's what I will say is this, is that I've always said to people that the 90s doesn't start in 1990. The 90s starts in like 1992. Yeah. And so like literally like 1990, 1991 is like the 80s still. And I don't know when Night Court ended, but if it's like early 1992, that's an 80s show. You know what I'm saying? If it's like mid 1992, then it's like, you know, like 1992 is kind of like where you can get away with being like, okay, like you know, it the 1992.
You can still wear neon at the beginning of 1992.
100%. 100%, and you'll be fine. Like 1991, free for all. You can wear whatever you want.
You wear neon in 1992.
Too funny, man. But anyway, so Night Court, the original show was literally about a judge, Harry Stone, conducting like a court at night for people that worked during the day. So there was like a number of different kind of characters that would come through. It was a sitcom, like an 80s sitcom. It was hilarious. And it had all these different like characters, whether it be, like I said, the people, the like actual people from the people that were the friggin' defendants and plaintiffs and whatnot, or like, you know, and of course the cast of the people that were actually in the court. All these ridiculously funny people. The new show, which literally just started like, you know, a few weeks ago, is the daughter of Harry Stone coming in as the new Night Court judge, you know, stepping into the courtroom that her father previously was the judge of. And she has a whole different cast of characters in the Night Court in regards to like her staff. And of course you have different people coming in, plaintiffs and whatnot, to and defendants being, you know, the subject of the Night Court. So, Jensen, did everybody get to see like at least an episode or two of this show?
Yes.
All right. Or should I say that? Wait, say it again, Hecht?
I kept meaning to, and I kept not doing it.
It happens, but you seen the original, so that's what matters. Okay. What about you, Oz? You got to see Night Court?
Yeah.
All right. So we have at least a little bit of a baseline here in regards to what we thought. Jay, let's go to you. Let's start with you, buddy. Like you've seen the original Night Court, right?
Yes, but I don't remember almost anything. Like I only remember one thing from that show.
What's that?
That the black guy and the Asian chick ended up getting married.
I'm sorry. Wait. So here's the thing. I'm sitting here like I'm a fan of Night Court, and I'm like the black guy and the Asian chick ended up getting married, and I'm like, okay, if I'm remembering right.
Wife.
Say what?
The court clerk had a Asian wife.
Mac.
They were
Mac. Okay.
They were married like as part of the show. They didn't meet during the show and get like he met her in Vietnam or like when.
Okay, right. Okay. Is that who you're talking about, Jay?
I assume.
Okay. Okay, got you. Okay.
We're gonna go with yes.
There was an episode where I think Mac's dad shows up and it was about him accepting her and they were locked in the room together or something.
All the shenanigans at Night Court.
Dude, exactly. Okay, cool. So that's really interesting, Jay, that's the part of Night Court that you take away. Like, it wasn't like the giant bailiff bull or the fact that the friggin' judge did all these magic tricks and played all these pranks on people. He was like, hey, man, that black and yellow, though.
Well, I remember Richard Mole, but I remember that he started on Night Court. Or I don't know if he started there, but I know he was there, and then he went on to do a bunch of voice acting.
Right.
But that has nothing to do, like, that's not indicative of what he was doing in Night Court. So I know he was there, and then he did voice acting. But that in-show knowledge that's the only thing I remember is the black and the Asian. But out of show knowledge, John Larroquette got his own show after Night Court finished. Like, I remember that.
Right.
Actually,
so you remember John Larroquette?
Yeah, like, I remember some of the people. Like, I remember John Larroquette. He got his own show after. Ironically, I remember that show more than I do Night Court.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Like, John Larroquette's amazing.
I know Judge Reinhold was in Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. I think he was also in Clerks. I think he voiced himself in the Clerks cartoon.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of stuff that I know. It just doesn't directly involve what was happening inside of Night Court. Yeah, I don't remember the magic tricks. I don't remember the snakes jumping out of boxes.
Who was Judge Reinhold in Night Court?
He was the judge.
No, he wasn't.
Judge was Harry Anderson, a well-known magician at the time.
What?
He said the judge was Harry Anderson, a well-known magician at the time.
Oh, I thought he was the judge.
Oh, because his name is Judge Reinhold.
Right.
No, the thing is, when you look at Judge Reinhold in that time period and Harry Anderson, they're kind of interchangeable. Like that's why when Judge Reinhold, I'm like, I know he thinks he was the judge. And it's like, it's a weird image because especially like voicing the judge in Clerks too, it kind of throws back to that. Because that was like a Night Court themed episode too.
Right.
Indeed. Okay. So then Jay, like for all intents and purposes, you almost came into this show like you had never even seen the first one.
Almost.
Because I'm like, was there any part of this show that you saw that was like, oh, that's like a callback to the original show?
Only the stuff that they tell you is a callback.
Got it. Right. And that does happen. Like this show holds your hand to a degree where it's like, hey, this kooky thing used to happen back in the Night Court day in the 80s.
And I really did laugh when he opened the box and all the snakes jumped out. But
okay.
That one got me.
Got it. Okay. All right, well, listen. That's fair. I'm going to come back to you, Jay. Mo, tell me what you thought of this incarnation of Night Court.
This incarnation is a little fresher to me because I was like a baby in the 80s. But I did watch a fair share of Night Court, and that's one of the things that stood out. Like, I loved how this night judge was just this weird dude that just did whatever he wanted, essentially. And he just wore like sneakers and jeans under the the gown, you know, like he's just a regular dude, and he just treated everybody like regular dudes, you know. And I guess that's what I really liked about it. Like, he didn't have, just because he was a judge, he had his personality still. He didn't lose himself to this job. I don't know if I thought of it like as a little kid like that, but that's, for me, that's been something in my head that's why I hate working for people, because I always feel it's like a bad relationship. You got to lose yourself a little bit, and at least for those 8 hours. And yeah, watching this, it's like she came in with a different attitude than he did, but similar motivation in the new show. And then up until like episode 3, that's when you get like the reasoning behind it, like the psychological, which I feel like in today's TV shows, you kind of got to get into that a little more than you had to back then. Like, you don't know why Harry 100%. Stone was the way he was. We just accepted it and ran with it. Here, it's like, why would she want to and do that? You know, and even if you're not asking that, but the show is predicated on the fact that you are, as we see in episode 3, and that's where I'm like, okay, this can be a really good show based on how heavy that 3rd episode got, because that's one of the things in Night Court. Like, some of these situations were a little heavy, they just executed it lightheartedly, and you know, it was a vehicle for the humor, but it also kind of got you thinking about these things philosophically. Like, you got the sleazy prosecutor and the altruistic defendant. And then in this one, you have still the sleazy but driven, less sleazy but more driven prosecutor, and nihilistic defendant. You know, and it's a little bit different in terms of like recreating what we saw before as a throwback. Like, I know they do a lot of the callbacks and stuff, but here they change that up a little bit, and they're trying to make nihilistic defendant more of the altruistic, but it's just not him. And that's one of the things I remember the most about too, aside from what I spoke on earlier. But John Larroquette in the old one, like he's the selling point. It was almost like the Kramer in the Seinfeld, you know, because he's 100%. Like. He had the coolest moments. Like, one of my, like, I remember him like talking shit and doing it well. I don't remember word for word what he said. I remember the moments and how I laughed.
Right.
But one of my favorite moments was where they couldn't find him, and he's in the judge's chambers making out with some hooker or something that was going to get prosecuted. And it was like my favorite moment. Like, I don't know why, as a little like 4 or 5-year-old kid, like, I just love that. And he just like looked at the camera, like, part of it because he was ugly. Like, I always thought he was ugly. So I'm like, man, he could do that with being ugly. That's cool, you know. So,
hey, man, my man was a lawyer.
Hey, again, like, yeah, it's like I was an impressionable little dude, you know. So it just like, I was like, wow, that's cool. Like, and then I started liking him more than the judge.
Yeah,
but yeah, and in this one, it's different. Like, hearing was it Melissa Roche or Michelle Roche? But having her like
Big Bang Theory,
yeah, like
okay,
having her talk without that like high pitched voice is is odd. But I'm getting used to it. And oddly enough, she looks like she would be Harry Stone's daughter. So it really,
I can see that.
works. And then her motivations and stuff kind of mirror his, but added a little bit of flavor. And yeah, so I definitely that's when you all this to say that when you ask me what I think about this new series, it's like it kind of calls back. It has its moments like the first one, and the humor is there.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be must see TV for me, it had to be what I saw in episode 3, like something a little deeper than the regular sitcom, just a rehash of the regular sitcom.
Got you. Oz, what did you think of Night Court?
Overall, I liked it. The first couple episodes, which I think came out at the same time, were a little bit off-putting because I have to adjust to I expected the guy who is now the defense attorney. We used to be I'm used to seeing him as, like Mo said, the sleazeball. Like he was always trying to get laid. A lot of times while doing his job, he was trying to get laid. So I'm used to that, and now he's kind of like the conscience of the show. Like he's steering it back to what Harry Stone was trying to do. And this goes all into how they were explaining what he was trying to do, because they didn't explain it in the first series, not that I can remember. Like he was just that type of person.
Right.
So getting used to that. The bailiff, the first couple episodes was got a little bit on my nerves because I felt like she thought she was in a cartoon. But then by the third episode, she mellowed out. Like, she was still, she was still doing funny things, but it was, she wasn't oh my god, like when she's freaking out, she thinks like there's ghosts or vandal or whatever was going on in that episode. So yeah, by episode 3, it feels like it's settled into what it's gonna be, and the only thing that I'm missing, I think episode 4 just came out and I haven't seen that. I think the only thing that I'm missing is the parade of freaks that we get, which was like a big chunk of the show. It's just all it's Night Court. It's the weird of the weird.
And while I agree with you that we didn't get that so much in the first episode, but like in the second episode, we got like a flasher, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of it, but they were still setting up. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking the show.
Oh, was that the first episode? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the show because I understand that they're setting it up, and the new judge has to find her footing. Like, with when she's trying to help somebody, and it's an undercover cop, like, as she ends up screwing it up. They have to set all that up before they can get the parade of freaks, because it's it's not the 80s anymore. You can't just have something because then people are going to be asking questions, and people just don't accept stuff like, okay, we're in a courtroom at night when all the freaks are out, so go. Everything's got to have a purpose and a reason.
Right. No, people ask more informed questions in this day and age.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means more work for the show.
Right. So Jay, I know we asked, like, I know I grilled you on your knowledge of the original show initially. Now, tell me what you thought of this new Night Court.
Yeah, it was fine. Like, I only watched the first episode, and I laughed like 3 times, I think.
Okay. Is that a lot generally in regards to new sitcoms for you? Like, or I should say pilot episodes of sitcoms? Is 3 a lot or no?
Depends on the show. I mean, it felt like a fair amount.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. Like a kind of Miss Richard Mole.
Right.
But the bailiff was, well, she was fine until Oz mentioned how cartoony she is.
Wait, what? Why do you say it like that? Like, why? Why don't you like? I mean, you don't. You're not going to wait to see that for yourself.
No, he's right. Like I saw it, but I didn't
got
really.
you.
I was kind of ignoring her. But then I was like, she was like a cartoon character, and it's like thinking back, like, yeah, she is a fucking cartoon. And now she sucks now because Oz pointed it out.
So
did you watch episode
Oz
3?
ruined it for you.
Did you watch episode 3?
No, I just watched the first episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I say watch till episode 3 because everybody kind of finds their footing. The first 2 episodes, the show itself feels like it's finding its footing. Like it's not, it's being what it's supposed to be, but it's not doing what it wants to do. I think with 3, everything just starts falling into place. You might even have a different show after this. It might be like Law and Order after.
That 100% happens, and listen, I can speak to it because I only watched the first 2 episodes. I didn't see episode 3. And I can tell you, like, for me, I was disappointed because I was just like, the only people that I actually like in this show by the time that I finished the second episode was, John Larroquette. Like, his
Yeah, he is good.
like John Larroquette. No, yeah, John Larroquette is amazing. Like, this dude is highly underrated. And it's like he still works, but he doesn't work nearly as much as he should considering how talented he is. And then the other person that I enjoyed watching on the screen for the first 2 episodes was not the bailiff, I'm sorry. The clerk. The Indian American dude. Like, this dude, I don't know, something about him was like, no, he was cool. Like, I liked him as a character. And, and technically speaking, he might be the only person that kind of like they gave like a little bit of an arc to in those first 2 episodes. Like he changed from episode 1 to episode 2. And so maybe that's what I was responding to. And, but, and don't get me wrong, like, it's not like everybody else was like terrible, because I don't feel that way. But there was nothing compelling about any of them other than those 2 characters to me, which I was shocked by because, I would have thought of myself as a fan of the young lady from The Big Bang Theory. What's her name again? I'm sorry. Y'all remember her name?
Roche.
Yes. I would have thought of myself as a fan of hers up until this point. But when I watched these first 2 episodes, I was just like, oh, you know what? I think she's just there. And that made me sad a little bit. Because, I feel like the show, like, centers around her in a lot of ways, but she just wasn't doing it for me. And I'm like, man, and I get it. Like, I understand that I'm used to seeing her in a particular role. And like you said, like you mentioned, Mo, where it's like it's weird seeing her not in that high-pitched voice. I understand that that's not her actual voice. Like there was no part of me that was like, oh, she should talk like that. At the same time, I was just like, man, like she's not compelling to me. Like she's just kind of there. And I was shocked by that because I think that for her to bring the character that she brings to Big Bang Theory, she's probably a really good actor. And I don't know that I would say that she's like not. I don't know that I would say she's not a good actor. I would say that the first 2 episodes of Night Court don't necessarily feature like, or maybe they don't emphasize, what she can bring to the table. And so maybe episode 3 does different, and I will definitely go and watch that to see if that's the case, especially, and if there's like a fourth episode, I'll watch that too. Why not? Because it's not like, I'm not out here spending, right. I'm not out here spending 90 minutes watching an episode of Night Court. It's going to be 45 minutes together, right? Something crazy like that. So just like, I'll watch them, and if it gets better, then I'll be happy about that, because a show like I was a huge fan of the original series, and like even like watching this when it went into the theme song, and it was like basically like for all intents and purposes like the original theme. Yeah, I was just like, oh, that's awesome. Like it makes me feel good, and like that's how I knew, like it primed me to want to like it. And that's was, I guess, part of the disappointment, because I was like, oh man, like I don't know, it's not hitting that vibe for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't feel like an updated Night Court necessarily. It doesn't feel how Night Court felt. It doesn't feel like an updated version of it. It's just kind of there outside of like John Larroquette, and then like I said, the new court clerk was like, I like that guy. I don't know him from anything else. It's not like I'm just like, I don't have a previous affiliation for him. I just like, no, that guy seems good. So I don't know. It's weird. I'm not sure why I feel the way I feel about it, but that is what it is. Say it again, Heck.
I'm gonna throw something at you, because
throw it at me, Heck.
I haven't seen this new one,
right?
But going off of what y'all are talking about, there's a certain nostalgia with this new show, and you're expecting a certain type of show based on nostalgia and memories,
right?
Not so much any recent watching of the show. Because
100%.
The way you're describing like the first one or two episodes, I've rewatched the first episode, like first 3 episodes of Night Court before. Like maybe within
the original Night Court?
Yes.
How long ago did you do that?
Maybe within the last year or two.
What? Wow, okay.
The first maybe 2 episodes are nothing like you remember. Like they weren't like anything I remembered. It's very the way you're describing the first episode. It's like that. It's very much
okay. And that makes me feel better, because I believe you. Like I understand that, like especially when you talk about the 80s, like shows were definitely allowed to get their footing.
Yeah.
And even based on what Mo was saying, where he's like, hey, episode 3 is a different experience than the first 2 episodes. I believe that, and that's why I was like, oh, I'll watch episode 3 and 4. Like, why not? Because, especially considering like, the time that's invested in watching those episodes is like next to nothing.
Like, if you go back and see like even the first episode, very first episode, you don't have like Marky Post as the defense attorney, whatever, because she didn't come in till later on.
Wow.
The stalwarts are like Bull, Harry. I honestly don't even remember if Mac's there in the first episode. And Dan Fielding.
Right.
They're like the stalwarts that are there the whole time. And the way they act, even Harry, especially Harry, the way they act in the first episode is completely different from like later seasons.
Oh yeah, and I believe that, especially considering like as we realized as we were talking about Night Court in the beginning, it's like the show was on for basically like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
So if it's on for 7 or 8 years, we all know that a pilot episode of a show is going to be like a pilot episode of a show is definitely different than like say the last episode of the first season.
Yeah.
So
and like
I believe that is different seasons beyond that.
It has a foundation that they built upon, but it's very different. And
interesting.
Like, even that dude, I don't know if you remember that dude. He was a maintenance guy in the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think he's in the first episode.
Oh, wow, really?
But he's like a memorable dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and they have like an equivalent in this series.
Yeah. So
that's so let me ask you this real quick, Hecht. What made you revisit Night Court like within the last year?
Because I have that nostalgia as well. And I was I think I was just home. Like I was bored and I didn't have anything to do. And I was like,
okay.
Hey. And I was looking through, the apps on the PS4, like, I got all these fucking TV apps. It has to be something to watch. And I think it was either Peacock or Pluto TV, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, we got all the Night Court. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen the first episode of Night Court.
No, damn, that's fair. No, I get it.
Probably
I get
not
it.
Pluto.
Probably what?
Probably wasn't Pluto.
Yeah, it was either Peacock or it might have been Tubi. Tubi TV.
Tubi.
Yeah. They took off Batman, motherfuckers.
Yeah, but they have Beast Wars.
Nah, I'm not watching Beast Wars.
Pluto has Beast Wars?
They have like a shitload of Transformers.
Tubi has.
Yeah.
Oh, Tubi has Beast Wars. Okay. Yeah,
Pluto
man.
doesn't have shows, they have channels.
Well, what?
Pluto doesn't have shows, they have channels.
They have some
technically, they have a small library of
it's super
stuff,
small.
but what you go to Pluto for is for their channels, not their direct streaming.
So, Jay, man,
the weird one is VIX.
Which one?
VIX is like the Hispanic, like VIX, VIX.
Yeah,
and that's like Telemundo's streaming service, and it's like it's like really how on the nose. Like you're catering to Hispanics and you're calling it VIX. Like just why don't you just call it VIX?
VIX E7 Up. That's what it should have been called.
That's funny.
If it ain't got no lucha, I'm not downloading that shit.
They might.
So, Jay, man, what would you rate the Night Court TV show based on what you saw?
I would give it a 3. It seems fine. And I laugh at times. I do like John Larroquette. I think he's really funny. But at the same time, I don't know if I necessarily feel the need to go back to it. But it was fine.
Okay. Oz, how about you, man? What do you think about Night Court? The new
probably
TV show?
Gonna go with a 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining. I mean, it's a little bit different from the original, but it's getting there.
Okay, cool. Moses Magnum, what about you?
It's a 3.5 from me. Definitely like it calls back to the stuff that I saw before, and but I do like I feel like I really need to watch more of it to really judge it, because the way that episode 3 went, it's like it could be a slightly different show and better for this incarnation. So it probably would get a better score. But yeah, 3 to 5, 3.5, I think would be an accurate description right now.
Okay. I would give it a 2.5. I think mainly just because there were like some of the characters I weren't that fond of, but at the same time, I could see that the show could have potential, and I understand that pilots are pilots, or when you're talking about it takes a moment for a show to find its footing. The first 2 episodes are all I saw. I gotta still watch episode 3, which I think I will do. And if episode 4 is out, I'll probably watch that back to back. So, it's definitely not like, I know I didn't give it a great rating, but at the same time, it's not so bad that I wouldn't give the show itself a shot, especially considering that it could be a show that's like, finding its way. So, and
I think we do need a sitcom centered show so that we know the bar of like, okay, what a 2 means in sitcom as opposed to comics or movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I would agree with you on that. Like, I think that is a different rating in some ways. You're right. What's Tiger Claw talking about, Jay?
The original Night Court might be on Freevee. Yes, it is.
What is Freevee?
It's free TV.
Yeah, it's free TV. They basically, you can stream what you want, but they show ads in the middle.
It's not TV. It's Freevee.
Right.
Oh, I did not know that.
How dare you? How fucking...
Heck, what would you rate? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'll say it after.
Oh, Heck, what would you rate our review of Night Court, Heck?
Your review, what's my rating? Like, how far can I go?
Oh, 1 to 5 of our review of the Night Court TV show.
I'll give the review a 4.5.
Woo! We'll take it. Thank you, Heck. Yeah. Listen, y'all did your thing. Okay, what are you gonna say, Mo?
That Freevee is just like Peacock, only free. Because Peacock costs me $4.99 to watch. No, like the only thing you can watch free is like old Andy Griffith. Like if you want to watch like the new shows,
Columbo,
like yeah, you could get Columbo for free. But if you want to watch like Saturday Night Live, they took it off of Hulu, so now I have to use Peacock to do it. In order to do it, I got to pay them up.
Gotcha.
Hey,
wow.
that $5 was worth it to see the Royal Rumble.
Hey, I didn't even know I had access to that. But yeah, you get the WWE. No, like the $5 includes the pay-per-view, so you get to watch. I could have been watching Royal Rumble last Sunday.
Hell yeah!
Oh, that sucks.
Instead of
you can have it on demand.
The office. Yeah, but on demand is not. That brings back terrible memories of when I used to rent the tape 6 months later.
There it is.
It was a good time.
All right. You all ready to talk some comics?
Yes.
Look, I'm going to take that as a yes, even though it's completely silent.
Review.
Like
review.
Well, not like that, but like.
I love it. All right. We're about to talk Sins of Sinister, number 1. There will be spoilers ahead. So if you're an X-Men fan and you have some insight on what it is that we're talking about, please feel free to call in, hit us in chat, tell us what your thoughts are on what's going on. If you're an X-Men fan and you haven't necessarily been caught up on some of the latest books and you're like, I'm definitely about to read those like right now or soon, I don't know. You might want to tune out for the segment. But if you're a lapsed X-Men fan and you're just like, hey, wait, what's going on now? You might want to keep tuned in and listen. We might tantalize your palate and mess around and help you get back into X-Men books.
Everyone is Sinister now.
Everyone is Sinister now. That's it.
Spoilers.
8 out of 5. There it is. You're welcome. Right. So, Sins of Sinister, number 1. You know what? Like, obviously, I could talk about this book because you all know that I'm when as far as Fantastic Forum is concerned, I'm the resident X-Men fan. But I would love if somebody else would want to like kind of recap what Sins of Sinister #1 was about. Look, Jay. I guess you already took your like. I feel like Jay just took his stab at it. Jay's not gonna say nothing different than what he just said.
Yeah,
Or are you, Jay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Jay. Go for it, Jay. Talk to us about Sins of Sinister #1.
So Sins of Sinister is basically the X-Men are immortal. They have their genes in a computer. They get brought back to life whenever they die. And Sinister has been fucking with the program to make everyone that comes back a part of him, or put himself into everyone that comes back, with the exception of, I think, Hope. He had to do something different, but he got her. And it's basically a Sinister taking over, forcing war and conflict with different factions in order to bring everyone under heel, including humans who have started using the immortality technology. And the book kind of goes through what's happening on a yearly basis, going out 1 year, then 5, then 10. And it's basically, it's showing what Sinister and his Council of Sinisters are doing. And it starts setting up the factions that are going to be opposing him. Because Storm, for some reason, she saw all this shit coming. And told people, like, hey, if anything, one fucks with my mind, I want to be out. Like, and she's out. And she's ready to fight, or getting ready to fight.
There it is. There it is. So, Oz, what was your take on Sins of Sinister #1? Because like I'm pretty sure, like if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty much the only person here that's been like reading X-Men or X-Men comics regularly, right?
Yeah,
I haven't been reading the main line, but I've been reading like Exterminate.
Exterminators, yeah.
Yeah, Exterminators. Like I've been reading Exterminators. I've been reading. Well, I'm catching up on Marauders.
Got it.
And I was reading Dark Web X-Men.
Got it. No, and that does count. I agree.
It counts. It popped up in Sins of Sinister #1. Or if not, or Immortal X-Men 10. It popped up in one of those.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Oz, what was your take on Sins of Sinister #1?
Is this something they've been setting up for a while? Because it is not like new reader friendly.
That's fair.
I mean,
I can see that.
I know what he meant when he talked about the Moira resets, but like she just got that like what, a year ago?
When you say she just got that a year ago, you're talking about like Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, when did Moira become the reset mutant? Like that was
2019.
Okay, so like a year and a half ago.
No, it's 2023.
Somebody who hasn't been reading like X-Men books like that, like this is just weird. Like the whole book was okay, so Sinister won, and that's it. He won, and he got out sinistered at the end.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I definitely I don't disagree with what you're saying. But at the same time, I kind of feel like like if you're talking about like, okay, the Moira aspect of things like that, like I said, that was 2019. Like
Well,
that was like
the
before
Moira, I bring up the Moira aspect of it because when he gets to the point where he talks about the Moira resets, that's the point where I understood what this story was.
Right.
Like how he got to this point, and not
Right.
completely, but knowing what Moira does.
Right.
Like I felt like
you were able to infer
right what was happening and how he was able to win.
Did you read Immortal X-Men 10?
Who?
Immortal X-Men 10? Did you read that?
I don't think so.
I know Larry said that like you might want to, just for context, maybe read that. And I feel like it helped, but to your point, like I also feel like that wouldn't have helped. Like I read Immortal X-Men #1, and I felt like not a lot had happened between #1 and 10. Like it's kind of the same. Like, they're literally like at page 5, he's on that console, that Sinister computer, and he's talking about the same thing, like putting himself in people.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like 10 actually kind of recaps a whole like that the whole last 10 issues a little. And it took me if I hadn't read Immortal X-Men 1, I probably would have been really lost. But because I read that, I'm like, okay, I read at 10, so it's like 10 basically is recapping stuff that happened either in between past issues or at some point in key parts of the past issues. Yeah.
Yeah, and understand that like what you're saying doesn't necessarily it's not shocking to me, because I know that, you know, for as in regards to the rest of the Fantastic Forum, like I know we read, like, say for instance, we read House of X and Powers of 10 when that was happening in 2019. And so, but like when you say Oz, oh, this is stuff that's been set up for a while. Like if you remember in some of those issues, there was like literally in which I think was Powers of 10, there was like some of those issues had Sinister Secrets. And Sinister Secrets were like all this like information that Mr. Sinister knew, and people were like, how does he know this stuff? You know, like it's weird that he has like all this like random information, and nobody understood why he would have this information. Like how is he finding out these things? And it turned out like the reason he knew some of this stuff is because this dude was like harvesting Moira's, like he was cloning her, and when the timeline didn't go the way he wanted it to, he was basically like killing her and resetting the timeline and downloading that information from the last Moira. So he had like information from potential timelines that he could use in this timeline. And so it was basically like he was able to say like, okay, I know that this is happening, or this could potentially be happening because that's what happened in the timeline beforehand. And literally like I said, like that information was being archived and sent to him after he reset the timeline, which is crazy in and of itself. But at the same time, there's like a lot of stuff that happened in between, of course, 2019 and now. And like Immortal X-Men as a book, right, which is written by Kieran Gillen, who's also writing Sins of Sinister in conjunction with a couple of other writers. Like Immortal X-Men is about the Quiet Council, which rules like Krakoa, and each issue is like a character study of a different member of the Quiet Council. So the last one that I was like, hey, you all might want to read Immortal X-Men 10 is about Professor X himself. and has like the big reveal at the end where like Sinister has corrupted the Quiet Council and Professor X is now.
I hated that picture.
Like the end of the end of Immortal X-Men 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's a hell of a reveal, and it's kind of unsettling, especially because it's so crazy. Because especially for those people that were like, oh, all like when the Krakoa era started, everybody was like, oh, the X-Men are acting different, man. Like they shouldn't be like this. There were people that were like, oh, they're like villains now, which kind of blew my mind, but at the same time, it didn't, because I know it's like part of it is like, oh, well, heroes wouldn't act this way. But it's like, well, if you've never been a part of a oppressed minority, like, you know, you wouldn't understand why somebody would act the way they do. You'd be like, oh man, these guys are outside the pale. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where people were speculating that the X-Men, like, they weren't acting the way they should because they're being like taken over or cloned or whatever. Uh-oh. Hold on, let me zoom you in, Mo. Yeah. Wait. Why that fool look like a white Tyrese?
Well, he looked like the Pharaoh in the Ten Commandments. Like that's
he looks like the Pharaoh in the Ten Commandments. That's too funny. But yeah, man. But now, like, that thought process is coming to fruition. And I know, Jay, you were saying, you know, the whole thing about hope. Like, Sinister did, like, the whole thing is that resurrection is able to happen initially because Sinister has the genes or he has, like, the genetic code for, like, all these mutants, because Sinister was always trying to like mess with the genetic code of mutants and like clone people and all this kind of stuff, right? So he has all this genetic material. His genetic material was what initially allowed resurrection to happen, because cats were like, oh, like, I mean, you know, they were able to like make the bodies because Sinister had the DNA. And then you had the minds implanted because Professor X was doing backups that were stored in Cerebro. And, you know, the Five was able to like make those bodies the way they were supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing was that Hope subconsciously was suppressing the Sinister, like the DNA that he messed with. She was subconsciously suppressing it during the resurrection process. So he had to kill her first so that when people started getting resurrected, she wouldn't do that. And that's why it was like Hope was like kind of the key.
How did they resurrect her if she's one of the five that they need to resurrect?
So what happened was Sync, which that happens in Sins of Sinister, doesn't it? Or I thought it did. Maybe it happens in X-Men. Oh, it's Immortal X-Men. There it is. So in Immortal X-Men 10, Sync, who got a major upgrade himself, like he, you know, Sync was always able to like, whenever mutants were near him, he was able to like sink into their powers. But he got an upgrade where it's like
anybody.
You're right. Yeah, it was.
I learned that in Dark Web X-Men #1.
There it is. You're right. It was just people with powers. You're right. But Sync got a major upgrade.
Real quick, I'm gonna give the book a 4. I enjoyed it. Had fun. Probably gonna keep reading it.
Jay, make me some drum beats.
Say again?
Make me some drum beats. I need something with some beats. Yeah, you're gonna be in my band. We're gonna be called Force to Fuck. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. Go.
Okay. All right, have a good night, y'all.
Good night. Get good rest, buddy.
All right.
Night, dude.
4 out of 5 from Jay. There it is. But yeah, no, Sync got a major upgrade where he doesn't need to be near the mutants anymore, just as long as, or not like near them at the moment. Like as long as he was near them at any point, he can basically like call back the power. And so Sync was able to use Hope's power and like be a stand-in. And that's how they were able to resurrect.
Because even
her.
Mimic, they were trying to use Mimic too, but he couldn't do it. Like he had like a mental block because I guess it was like he felt it like morbid in the way that he does the power, as opposed to Sync, where Sync is like sinking almost technologically, and he's like, I can do it. I think I can do it, and he does it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically how they were able to resurrect, because the only one of the 5 that was gone was Hope. And so Sync played Hope's role to bring Hope back, and then Hope stepped in and was doing what Hope does since then. But when she got brought back, she was Sinister. So yeah, that's how that all worked. So like this whole book is basically about, like, it's interesting because, you know, what I was expecting, what I should say is with this book, because of like a lot of people were kind of like, well, I won't say a lot of people, like even Marvel itself was touting this like the Age of Apocalypse, but with Mr. Sinister. But it's interesting because what like in Age of Apocalypse back in the day when they had like Age of Apocalypse Alpha, you got tossed right into the Age of Apocalypse with Bishop as like the POV character learning about the new reality that he was in. But since the Sinister kind of did the opposite, where it was like, no, we're going to show you like how we got to where we are eventually going. Since the Sinister #1 is basically like, this is how Mr. Sinister conquered the world. And like you all mentioned before, it goes from like the 0 year to, you know, a year in to 5 years in to 10 years in. And 10 years in is where we basically kind of leave off. 10 years of Mr. Sinister being in charge of stuff. And as the, like each, like all the not all the X books, but a certain number of the X books are going to transition into new titles, kind of like how Age of Apocalypse did, where you have X-Men Red is going to become Storm and the Brotherhood, I believe. So, and I think that book's going to be about Storm, like being like the freedom fighter against, you know, Sinister's control of Krakoa. You have Nightcrawlers, which Legion of X turning into Nightcrawlers, which I'm not even sure what that book's about, because Legion of X doesn't give you a lot of clues in regards to like how the book is going to transition. And it obviously Nightcrawler is like the head of, well, I should say obviously, but Nightcrawler is the main person in the Legion of X book. And so Nightcrawlers is going to feature him, but I don't know how it's going to feature him necessarily. And then the Immortal X-Men book is turning into Immoral X-Men. And I'm assuming that's going to be like the Sinister Quiet Council book, and probably going to be the book where Mr. Sinister is going to be like trying to outmaneuver the rest of the Quiet Council Sinisters, because, you know, they've decided that, you know, it's better to be a different kind of Sinister than the Sinister he wants to be.
Well, it feels like they almost have like a version of themselves there with the Sinister added on, you know,
and that's what it is. It's 100%.
And that's what, like Xavier, like when you're reading Xavier's narrative, it's like I was reading and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have been reading it in the car, but I was reading it in the car. And I'm like, man, like at a red light, I stopped to think, and I'm like this X-Men's like really on a whole other level, like philosophically, because like even like Xavier coming to that realization where his idealism was what's holding him back, instead of his realism. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I always felt for him. Like, that's why he could never. You always had him, and instead of like trying to make the world a better place, they're just fighting each other. And that book literally just mentions that, like, we're just killing each other to the point where we have to find how to correct ourselves so we could survive. And so I'm like, and it turns out it's Sinister's influence that's doing that, and talk, about Xavier's dream and all that shit. And I'm like, man, and that's where I'm like, man, this fucking new X-Men is like real smart. It's too smart for me, because this is on some high concept. It's like a high concept sci-fi show at this point, where it's like the battles aren't like intergalactic conflicts, like battles. They're a battle of wits and wills, and that's like, and ideology, and I'm like, and then it turns out, it's just because Sinister did this.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, because I will say this is that the reason why I was like, dude, read Immortal X-Men 10 first is because it's a character study on Charles Xavier, which is something that we haven't gotten a lot of inside of the Krakoa era, which is crazy because, I mean, a lot of people, like, Boston wants to say hello. Hello, Boston. No, but that's something that, despite the fact that Professor X is kind of in a lot of ways, most people think of him as like the center of what's happening with X-Men, which he was in, like, House of X, but after that, not as much. Like, you don't get a lot of thought into, or a lot of insight into what the role he plays is. And I feel like the book is interesting because he, like, a part of him, like a part of what you see is actual Charles Xavier, I think. And then there's a part of it that is like, or I won't even say most of it, I think, is Charles Xavier. But then there's a part of it that's just like, okay, it's Sinister now, like, in control or asserting control. Right. And it's like, because it's like the thoughts, I think, are Xavier's thoughts for the most part. And it's just a matter of like when you're like, he's like, oh, what if an evil person really did have access to this? You know what I'm saying? Like, which is crazy because, like, even the part where he's like, oh, like, there's a part in Immortal X-Men 10 where he's like, hey, I messed around and put a mental block in all the world leaders. Like, if they get the thought, like, I'm gonna mess around and launch these nuclear missiles, they think twice. They can't do it. Like, there's a mental block in them actually destroying the world. And he's like, how could I not do that? He's like, I can do it. Like, I have enough power to do that. Why would I not? And it's just like, I don't think that's not a Sinister thought. That's an Xavier thought.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to mess around and manipulate these people and make them do what I want. But what I am going to do is make sure they don't blow up the whole planet, because I live here and my people live here. And if I can stop that from happening, why wouldn't I stop that? And it's like, man, like, that's a crazy, like, it's one of those questions where it's like, yeah, like, you can make an argument that that's not right because he's taking the will away from people. But at the same time, it's like, but we all live here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, is he wrong, or is he just like making sure that we all like get to see the next day? Like, or is he really like just saving the world? And like, yeah, there's a few people that like get like are imposed upon, like you're right, like their wills are literally like subjugated, but only for one particular thing. So is that like the greater good? And you got to make that like moral judgment, which is what is kind of interesting, because it's like that's the same kind of moral judgment in some ways that a Sinister would make, but at a much deeper degree. And so it almost sets you up where it's like, well, are they that different? And it's like, like some people say yes, some people would say no,
I'm one of those that says no. And that's why, like, that's why I love this Krakoa era, because there's like, they have disagreements, but they're all mutants and they're all living here. There's no like necessarily like evil mutants anymore. They're just trying to survive, and they have their disagreements, and it becomes a battle, like I said, a battle of wills and ideologies, as opposed to like just straight up good and evil.
Right, 100%. And that's why the Quiet Council is such an interesting dynamic in and of itself, and why it warrants its own book, because you on one hand, like, you have people that are, when you think of like, okay, who are the people that are like great X-Men, like, what I'm saying, like, you have like your Storms, your Nightcrawlers, your Kitty Prides. Right now, Colossus is on the Quiet Council. Those are people that you're like, oh yeah, like those are heroes. Yeah, that's who you want making decisions, right? But then, up until like right now, like, and you have people like, of course, Professor X, who's like a little questionable to some people if you've been reading X-Men throughout the years. You have Hope, who, some like Hope is a little bit of a wild card to some degree. You have like Destiny, who you're like, okay. Then you have like Mystique and like Exodus and Sebastian Shaw. You know what I'm saying? You have friggin' like these are people that are like, that people think of as villains. You know what I'm saying? Like, White Queen is reformed, but depending on where you come in, you might think of her as a villain as well. And then you have like Sinister, of course, up and before he tried to kill everybody. and then who am I missing? I'm missing anybody? No, I think that's the whole council, I think, right? I think so. There's only 12 people. So I think that was it. So, but it's like, yeah, and before that, there were people like, before he died, Magneto was on the council, which of course, depending on where you come in, like Magneto's a hero, a villain, a little bit of both, it's like Apocalypse was on that council, which people were questioning as well. And so, it's like, there's a lot of like Krakoa. The main thing that happened in House of X was they were like, Krakoa is for all mutants. And that didn't mean like it was like just the good ones. It was like, no, it's everybody. Whoever wants to come can come. And the council reflected that. And that was on purpose. So it's an interesting book, man. It's a real interesting book. And since the Sinister is going to be interesting, I think, even though I will say there was some parts of it that I was a little bit like taken aback by, because I thought it was going to be different. Like, I thought it was going to be more like Age of Apocalypse, and that might be my own fault in regards to expectations. I didn't realize that since the Sinister #1 was going to be like, this is how Mr. Sinister took control. But I did find that interesting too, because you have like the X-Men going like head to head with the Avengers, and it's just like, wow, like they kind of like justified that stuff in a way that's like, when I was reading it, I was like, I could see why they would think that. You know what I'm saying? Like, knowing what they know. Because it's like, we know as readers, like, okay, Sinister is like pulling the strings behind this, and because he's pulling the strings, we're like, well, that's bad. But if you didn't know that was happening, you would just be like, oh, well, hey, man, like, they're out of pocket. And yeah, it's crazy. And it's also one of those things where it's like, damn, that kind of reflects the real world in some ways, where it's like people make decisions and they justify it to themselves for all numbers of reasons, because who's telling them to do XYZ, or the goal that they're trying to reach at the end. It's like, it's really like some ends justify the means type stuff that's happening in this book that unfortunately we've seen in the real world in recent times.
Word.
Right. Let me step down from my soapbox. I apologize. No.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the reaction I get. Like, I mean, you did it a little more elegant than I did, but that's that these books are level storytelling, and I could see it not hitting with some people, and me only giving it a 3 for that. But that's how I feel about like Krakoa era. Like, it just, some of this stuff is too much for me. Like, I'm not that smart. Yeah.
And look, I get it. Like, no, and here's the thing, like, I say that sincerely, where it's like, I feel like from the beginning of the Krakoa era, there were some people that were just like, dude, what are you doing to the X-Men? And it was definitely a thing that required, I think, like, a little bit more thought than maybe most comics usually ask of people, like most, or maybe most mainstream comics. That's what I should say, because I don't want to take anything away from indie comics, because indie comics are out here telling challenging stories. Like, yeah. I'm talking about mainstream superhero books. That's what I should say. It is definitely asking more thought of you than most mainstream superhero comic books are asking of you. And like, it's interesting because, I mean, I feel that that's very in line with Hickman and how he tells his stories. But when Hickman left, I think that there were people that kind of felt like, okay, well, if Hickman's gone, then that's going to go away too. And, there are people that have kind of stepped in with, like, your Kieran Gillens and your Al Ewings that have kind of like taken some of the ideas that Hickman was going to implement and definitely, like, filled the gap in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, Oz, look, I feel like you've been out here just kind of listening. Is any of this stuff resonating with you, or does this all sound like BS based on what you read and what you've seen?
Nah, this is weird.
Okay, and that's a fair.
It's a weird
observation. What makes it weird to you? Because I mean, I think that your experience of it is very valid, because you're like on the outside of a lot of this. What makes it weird?
But he also read a good chunk too.
Right.
Did he?
think, well, because I read the House Powers of X, I was able to figure out what was going on, like how Sinister got to this point. And also kind of like let me know where this story is going. But if I hadn't and I just picked this book up, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Like, because when Sinister talks about hope, like, there's no, like, I know why hope is the key to this. I know about the 5. They don't tell you anything about the 5. They just mentions hope.
I agree with you. You're
hope
right.
Messing up my whole thing, and I had to do this.
Right.
And so reading those books, I knew what was going on, but somebody just picking it up like, oh, it's a number 1. Like, okay, I know, I've heard of hope, maybe, possibly,
maybe, potentially, right? You're right.
Right, yeah, I saw Deadpool 2. I've heard of, no, they didn't even mention hope in Deadpool 2, right?
I was like, hope's not in Deadpool 2.
They just mentioned a kid. Yeah, so yeah.
But you feel like the kid is Hope in Deadpool 2?
Better be. I mean, they don't mention a name, but they said it was, I think they said it was his daughter, though. Damn. You're right. Either way, I have to already know a lot of stuff to understand what's happening in this book.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say it that this book didn't have enough exposition.
No, look,
because there's still a lot of exposition in this book. What's happening?
Right. No, and that's what it boils down to, right? Where it's like, it's a number one issue. Is it accessible to somebody who's like, well, I'm going to start reading from here? And again, this is like a parallel I kind of draw from Age of Apocalypse to this, which might be unfair because no one has really said it's the Age of Apocalypse at this age. But at the same time, like when you pick up Age of Apocalypse Alpha, like it, even though it drops you into the world without knowing anything, that's the experience that the POV character is having as well. And so you feel like, okay, well, I'm on equal footing with the person whose perspective I'm supposed to be following. And I'm not sure that Sins of Sinister does that. I feel like Sins of Sinister is different in the sense that the perspective of which, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like the book is basically told from like Sinister's perspective. And Sinister understands everything that's happening. And as the reader, if you haven't been reading X-Men books up until this point, you very well could be like, well, why is that the case? Like, I could totally see you, Oz, or you, Moses, or Jay, just being like, well, why? Why that? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough reading here. I'm like, this is the same reason I didn't read Black Monday Murders and East of West.
Well, look, but this isn't Hickman.
But it still has those weird prose and the weird language. Like, I don't want to read prose in my comics. Like, I don't care if Sartre said it and then Sinister changed the timeline so that he said it.
Okay.
Like, I'm happy with reading my quotes of Sartre on my Apple books.
Right. Okay. Well, listen. With that said, let's rate this book. Oz, what would you rate Sins of Sinister #1?
Number 1, 3. Like, I feel like it's gonna go to a good place, but I've got to read a lot to get there.
Well, listen, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like this joint is just like a bookend.
Like,
so it's like you're not gonna get it. Like,
not like when somebody asks me, "Hey, what's a good jumping on point to X-Men?" I'm never gonna say Sins of Sinister.
Right? No, and I
1.
get that. Yeah. I don't think that Sins of Sinister. I'm pretty sure it's like Sins of Sinister #1, and then there's like
it's not easily accessible to somebody that hasn't been reading for a while.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of it, it gives you like the little like list of books. Is that what's coming out that month, or where it continues?
Yeah, that's where it continues.
Because there's a dark web book in there.
I mean, it might be like, I don't think the dark web book continues the story. I think it is like, some of it is, okay, I'm sorry. It might be both. Some of it's where it continues, and some of it is the books that are coming out that month.
Okay.
But like,
never mind.
Because
it was Immortal X-Men 10 that had that.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I guess that's where it's coming out the next month or the next. Yeah.
Like Sins of Sinister, I would think, like, if you're following what comes next for those, it will be like, books that are like the books that transition, like and that's the thing where it's like, you know, before I mentioned the 3 books that are transitioning are X-Men Red, Legion of X, and the Immortal X-Men book. And like for the next 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, each one of those books, each issue of those books is covering like the next phase of Sins of Sinister.
Yeah.
And they're kind of doing like a little bit of what X-Men, what Powers of X did. Like if you remember that, or I'm sorry, Powers of 10. If you remember, Powers of 10 kind of did like the whole thing where it was like 10 years, and then it did 100 years, and then it did 1,000 years. So there it is. Hold on, bam.
And my lights too
Oh,
bright.
that's hard to see. Yeah, you got like, but so each 3 issues of those books, like each one of those books is covering like the first 10 years, the first 100 years, the first 1,000 years. And so it's basically going into the far future of this Sinister timeline, and coming out of it, we'll see what happens. Like there is a bookend for the Sins of Sinister. I don't know what the reset is going to be or how it's going to work, but maybe the X-Men find a way to, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But supposedly they're going to go deep into the future, and it definitely seems like Sinister is like trying to do like trying to become some sort of I forget what the exact term is. The like there's different levels of societies that Jonathan Hickman set up. Sinister is trying to like achieve that, you know, as like, you know, basically trying to become like the like Godhead kind of thing going on. So we'll see. But anyway, Mo, what would you rate this Sinister?
I want to give it like a 4, but I'm
Okay.
too dumb.
Okay.
So
So what were you gonna give it instead?
I'm gonna keep it as a 4, so that you think I'm not dumb.
No, you're like should rate it like you're not dumb, Mo. You're just you're speaking at it from the perspective that you came into it at, which is it's
Yeah,
not that you're not
and,
dumb.
you
It's
know,
not that you're dumb.
no, it is because last week I had no problem. Like, man, maybe I'm getting too smart and I'm reading these dark web comics too fast. And then when you compare that, like, you know, this is like your alpha point. You compare your alpha for dark web to Sins of Sinister alpha, and it's like, dude, it's way like I. If I didn't know better, I'd be like, man, this is a different company that's making this book.
Right. Right. No, I hear that. I definitely
So
hear
it
that.
is
Like
a
dark.
4, and I'm excited, like from that aspect, like the Age of Sinister type story. And I'm like, you know
Right.
what? I think I'm gonna get into this. I'm not gonna make the mistake of Powers of X or House of X, where those little time jumps fucked me up because you had to read all of them to stay on track, and they were hard to read because I'm dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna give this a shot, and I'm gonna try to do what I did with Dark Web with this, and like kind of read them in order.
I promise you it'll be more fulfilling than Dark Web. I promise you're gonna get more out of it.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. That's fair. Look, uh, because I've been following X-Men, you know, and being an X-Men fan, for me, I got to give it a 4, because I'm really enjoying it. At the same time, it was like my expectations were a little bit thrown off, but that might be my own fault. But I can recognize the fact that, you know, somebody that hasn't been reading X-Men consistently from basically like House and Powers of 10 till now. Oh, sorry, House of X, Powers of 10, till now. It's like this could be confusing. So, and it doesn't do a lot to hold your hand. So that's where my point deduction comes off. But I'm not in that group, and that's why I'm giving it as high of a score as I am. But I get it, and so I just want to acknowledge that. Hector, are you still here?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Hector. What would you give our review of Sins of Sinister?
I'll give it a 3.5.
We'll take it.
Because
we'll take it.
It was too smart for me.
There it is. If Jay was still here, he would have helped. I blame Jay. I blame Jay for ditching us. So, all right.
I got a thing. It's not a review, but I'm catching up on death metal.
Oh, wait, still?
Man, it's taken forever to get the books.
Got it.
And I got that the trade paperback of The Batman Who Laughs for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And that has shit I didn't know about. So I'm going through that, and then from there I'm going to go into death metal proper.
Oh, so you haven't started reading death metal at all?
I've read the first issue. I read that way
back. Got it.
But I need to.
Okay.
I need to get back into it because from that one issue I read, I have no idea what the hell's going on.
No, I get it, and trust me, like it's not you, it's death metal. So you know.
I need to find a reading order because I feel like there's stuff before that I need to find out what comes before exactly, and then go into it.
Yeah. No, I feel you,
and then once I'm done with that, I'll go into Dark Crisis.
No, jeez. Okay. Yeah. Oz, why don't you give us some final thoughts, Oz?
We talked about Night Court. Maybe we should have talked about Extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more what we're talking about. And we never talked about Snap.
Oh, we didn't. We got to talk about Snap next week. Friendly battles are here. Yay, friendly battles. I was like,
my nephew just sent me a text like saying, "Hey, did you hear the friendly battles is here? You want to play?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to lose any friends over this." Like, he's like, "No, no." He goes, "I won't be mad if you win, no, but I'm gonna be mad if I lose."
Right. Is that your final thought, Mo, or you have something else you want to say?
Subscribe, like, hit the bell. We've been growing steadily, but we need to grow a little more, and it's all with your help. And thank you.
We got to grow a lot more. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We won't bombard you because we don't put out that many videos. So,
with
subscribe.
your help, and a tiny blue pill.
Wow. Yes. Okay. There it is. For the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do genuinely appreciate you. We'll be back next week. So, feel free to let us know what it is that you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see more of, because we'll listen to you. So please hit us up and let us know what you like, whether it be through social media or comments, whatever. We'll check all that out. So until next week, we are the Fantastic Forum. Good night.